SA 10:4-6 et sec, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by the Board Secretary to the Daily Record and published on 12/13/2018 by stating the time, place, and date of all regularly scheduled meetings, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. A copy of this shall be included with the minutes of this meeting. Nora, please call the roll.
Mr. Berkowitz.
Here.
Mr. Prasad.
Here.
Mr. Reddy.
Here.
Mr. Shaw.
Present.
Ms. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Willens.
Here.
Chairman Ira Kane.
Present.
We also have Mr. King,
Present.
Mr. Chadwick,
Present.
Mr. Holloway.
Here.
Start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And in keeping with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm sure all of you know by now, tomorrow is a anniversary of a very famous day. In the book Greatest Generation, Tom Brokaw goes out into America to tell through the stories of individual men and women the story of a generation, America's citizen heroes and heroines who came of age during the Great Depression and the Second World War and went on to build modern America. The generation was united not only by a common purpose, but also by common values: duty, honor, economy, courage, service, love of family and country, and above all, responsibility for oneself. I'm not sure how many people in this room remember or were even alive June 6, 1944. I'm sure most of us have relatives and acquaintances who fought in World War II. For myself, I remember my dad speaking of his time on Tinian, a remote island in the Pacific, building the runways that were used by Enola Gay. My former neighbor, Henry Ettlinger, was a real-life Jewish monuments man. The man was actually portrayed in the movie. Didn't know that until the movie came out. He was my neighbor for about 40 years. Tomorrow marks the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Let's take a moment to honor those who lost their life on D-Day. They were truly the greatest generation. Let's take a moment of silence. Thank you. One other thing I'd like to do before we start the meeting. I'm sure the board remembers, or if you don't remember, I'll remind you. When I was reappointed back in January, there was some discussion or controversy over the cases and how we approve things. What I'd like to ask is Bernie and Davey, I know both of you are retired and could meet during the day. I'd like to get together and, with information from Nora, put together a presentation for the council as to exactly why we approve 97% of our cases. Are you good on that, Davey?
Yeah.
You good, Bernie?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, if anybody else would like to join us, I'm just trying to avoid being out another
Just
night.
can't have a quorum.
Can't have a quorum, 3, so most we can do is 3. I'm sorry. Thank you.
When is that, like, just let
Pick
us
a
know the
time.
date if it
Time.
is
Well, I will
possible,
let you
then
know
we'll
when
join.
I will
Right.
talk to Council President, and I will get a date, and Nora will publish that date.
Sure.
You know, it's very interesting that the controversy that was created, and has the mayor or either of the two councilwomen ever approached anybody on this board to
Negative.
ask them questions?
None.
Or make any comments? Has anyone ever seen the mayor or those two councilwomen at a meeting since January?
No.
No. Okay, I rest my case.
I'm sorry.
Did I do something wrong?
Yeah, you did. Let's just make it unilateral. Has anybody seen any of the members of the council? I mean, really.
Well, okay,
Let's
yeah.
be very fair
Well,
about this.
No,
No,
I
no.
remember Loretta being here one evening. Loretta was definitely here one evening.
Correct, but that was
She's-
on a case.
Yeah, she.
That was on a case.
Okay.
That was before the board.
But I think the other
Correct.
3
I'm
council
sorry?
people recognize what we do,
Right.
and they understand what we do.
Okay. I just want to put
Okay, that's
everything
fine.
on the
It's a
record.
fair statement that you're making.
Okay, that's fine. Is that, at this point, is there any member of the public that has any business to be brought to this board that is not on this evening's agenda? I hear none and see none. Okay, do we have any resolutions, or?
Yeah, we have
Yes.
three,
Yes.
Three.
Okay,
but I think we should read them all.
I'm gonna say, it's all the same people voting, or this group has them.
Yeah.
someone
They're all
like
the
to,
same.
move all three resolutions?
So moved. Shaw?
Is there a second?
Second, Berkowitz.
Any discussion?
Do we at least refer to them by case number, or
Yep.
Yes, go ahead, refer to them by case number.
application number 1909, 1910, and 1867?
Laura, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Willens?
Yes.
Chairman Ibrahim?
Yes. Okay, that's that. There's no,
No minutes.
no correspondence. We got approved minutes?
No minutes.
No minutes, okay. All right, let's call case 1908, Sudeep Saha, 38 Forest Drive, seeking a C variance to install a 6-foot-high vinyl fence and a 6-foot chain link fence.
So you raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God. And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Sudeep Saha.
And you are the owner of 38 Forest Drive?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. You're sworn. You can have a seat. Just talk up.
Please sit down.
Sit at the table and just talk into the microphone, please.
We approved a,
5 and 1.
we approved the variance for this
Yes.
a year ago.
About last year.
Last June 6th, pretty close.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Almost same date, like June 5th, June 6th.
Why are you back? You got your approval last year.
Yes, that was like a see-through fence, like a chain link, and one side is the 50/50. So that is not going to help, in the privacy. So I want a little more privacy and also the safety reason.
Do you know what
Mike.
arborvitae are, or Norway spruce? Have you ever heard of those shrubs? You want more privacy, plant some vegetation, something that the deers won't eat. If it's inside the fence, you could probably get away with arborvitae. If it's out on the outside of the fence, you can put some nice Norway spruce. We don't approve 6-foot fences on in front yards. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, that's what. Is
We
that
don't approve them.
like 5 feet and then top 1 feet? What is called
4 foot
lattice?
one.
or something?
Lattice, yeah.
Lattice.
It'd be 4-1.
According to this, we approved a 6-foot-high fence, 75% solid and 25% see-through.
That is one. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
That is also in one side only. That's only the front side. But other two side, there is a chain link and also 50/50 see-through.
So we'll give you, is there a,
Let's go to your diagram. Do you have the picture of your that you filed? Can we just kind of go around what these notes are to just make certain we know what you're proposing is different than what you already have approval for?
Yes. In the earlier, like 3 sides, like a forest.
Let me help. Along the driveway, where it says Macadam Drive, there's a note here, 6-foot solid vinyl fence. That's your new proposal,
Yes,
correct?
that's the one.
And the resolution that you had prior was 5-foot solid, 1-foot lattice work on the top, correct?
oh, it's 75 and 25?
Yeah,
I
75,
know,
25.
It says
Close.
5 and 1 someplace.
Oh, okay, fine.
Then along Winding Way, you now want 6-foot solid as opposed to the vinyl on the top, the lattice work on the top. And what is the reason for this?
Earlier was not a lattice on the top. It was 50/50 see-through, like 50% see-through and 50% like a picket. So I'll be happy if I can get like 5 feet solid and 1 feet lattice.
That's not gonna happen. The best we can do, if the board agrees, is a 5-foot-high fence, 1 foot open. That's the best we're gonna do.
So it's 4 foot high plus 1 foot lattice.
Right, 5-foot fence, 4 foot high, solid, 1 foot open. We aren't getting a 6-foot fence on the street, because like I just said before, you want the fence for security, you want privacy, plant vegetation along the fence. Anything that you plant that grows a foot a year or whatever, a couple of years you'll have more privacy than you can possibly imagine. If you want to see arborvitae, which are in front of a fence, go to Lakeshore Drive and Lake Hiawatha, almost that Green Pond. The Lakeshore Drive ends in Green Pond. Is it Green Pond Road?
Green Bank.
Green Bank. There's a house on the left-hand side that's got 10-foot tall arborvitae. You can't even see the house.
Like I had one side the trees, like, but those trees are overgrowing and some of them are falling apart, and I had to cut them. So
Well, you take care of the trees. You plant them, you take care of them.
Yep.
You trim them, you take care of them, you fertilize them,
May have to replace them.
and you may have to replace them. But that's going to give you more privacy than a fence, and it's going to look a lot better.
There are some plants like dwarf plants, they go like 6 foot to 8 foot
No.
maximum. So then those you can maintain properly.
okay, so then I'll be I'm happy with total 5 feet, like 4 feet solid and 1 feet
Right. Is that agreeable to everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
That's agreeable to everyone? So you want to modify your what do we have to tell him what he's got to do here? He's going to modify his application?
Yes, he's going to amend the application
What was
from the
specified-
6 foot.
Specified in the resolution.
Okay, so we're talking about the point of the corner of the house to Winding Way, and then from Winding Way all along the road. That's where you want the 5 foot with the 1
all
foot.
3 sides, like all 3 sides.
3 sides, okay, and then
From-
on the other side of, so
It's the backyard.
you're gonna keep,
Next to his neighbor, he wants
Or 4 sides, yeah, you can say all 4 sides.
peak
Well,
solid. Now to the peak.
You tell neighbor- his neighbors he could do 6 foot, right? 'Cause
okay,
it's allowed.
I don't know
Yes,
if
he
you care
can do
about
6
this.
foot.
Because he basically has 2 front yards too, right? Street.
Yeah, you know what, but he does have 2 front yards, but
Yeah.
I don't think we should throw our statutes out the window, because people who buy corner lots are not firmly familiar with that. You know, it's much like our signage issue here in town. Just because somebody has a vision doesn't necessarily mean we throw out our statutes.
So on Winding Way, it's going to be a 5 foot fence, 4 foot solid, 1 foot lattice, or
Yes.
see-through.
some,
And that's going to go Winding Way, then it's going to go
Along the
facing
macadam
Forest
driveway?
Drive
Yeah.
And the back.
into the house. And then we're going to do the same thing from the house on Forest Drive to the side yard, all the way to the back.
are
like
you
all
gonna
4
do, are you gonna
sides.
do 5 foot all around?
Yes, yeah,
5 foot, 1 foot open, all around?
yeah.
Okay,
So it'll be uniform.
that's easy,
5 foot all around, all right.
okay?
4 and
I don't think this is clear, Mr. Chairman.
4 plus 1.
4 plus 1. I think we need to really describe it that way.
So it's a,
Yes.
it's a
Right.
totally, the total height from the
5.
ground all the way up is 5 feet. But of that 5 feet, only 4
4
foot
is
is
solid
solid,
and-
and the top, there's
Lattice.
either lattice or some decorative see-through.
Yes, understand.
Okay,
That's
is-
gonna be all around your house.
Yes, please.
any more questions by the board?
No, sir.
Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none and see none. There's nothing else you'd like to add, right?
Nothing.
Are any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application? I hear none and see none. Someone like to make a comment why we should do this, and then someone make do a resolution?
Yeah, I mean, I will, Mr. Chairman. I mean, the gentleman wants privacy. We get it. However, again, I go back to the fact that just because you have a vision, doesn't necessarily mean that our statutes and zoning laws go out the window. So I think this is a good compromise. And if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'll just lead into the
right
the
ahead.
proposal.
Go right
In
ahead.
application 1908, that's Sudip Saha, 38 Forest Drive, Block 421, .1, Lot 8, Zone R3. We granted C variance to install a 4-foot solid, 1 foot see-through high vinyl fence contrary to Section 430-11, A and B.
Second ready?
Any discussion, Nora, call the roll?
Mr. Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mr. Kaplan. Mr.
Yes.
Prasad.
Yes.
Mr. Reddy.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mr. Willand.
Yes.
Chairman Irakane.
Yes. The result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your trouble. Okay, application 1716, Robert Campbell. D-variance to legalize a two-family house.
Yeah, yeah.
You may proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Douglas Kins, representing Robert Campbell, to my right. I'm here this evening to request an adjournment for reasons that I'll go into. I did reach Mr. King this afternoon to explain an issue that I had with regard to the procedural history of the case, and if the board is prepared to hear me, I'll go into the issue that has arisen.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Sit down. So, ladies and gentlemen, I came into the case in September of last year. Mr. Campbell has been before you before. I think it was on or about July 5th, 2017, when he last appeared here. He came to me in September with this application. I immediately sent out some subpoenas and started doing an investigation as to what the history of the property was. Bob indicates that he purchased it in 2012. He thought at the time it was a two-family. There were separate meters for 2 apartments. One apartment was at the front, one was at the rear. The front apartment was occupied and habitable, the rear apartment was not, and it remained basically uninhabitable until he fixed it up a couple of years ago for his sister, who then moved in. He did not do his due diligence when he purchased the property. He knows that. He should have inspected the records and determined that the CO was for a one-family. But from what he understood, it had been built or renovated many years before as a two-family, was separately metered, so he thought it was. When his sister Patricia moved in, a notice of violation was issued by Mr. Reguer, appropriately so. That was in January of 2017. Bob filed an application for the variance that's before you this evening on or about February 23rd, 2017. March 30th, 2017, a notice was issued by your prior board secretary indicating, in effect, that the application was deemed complete and that the matter was being listed for hearing on May 17th, 2017. I, of course, was not the prior attorney. As I understand it, there was a prior attorney involved at that point who may have requested an adjournment of that initial hearing date. Not sure why. Bob believes that the adjournment request may have come from the board, but he's not sure. By the time the matter was rescheduled and reconvened here, it was July 5th, 2017. He showed up without his attorney, who apparently could not make it that evening. There was no planner, and he was not prepared to proceed. Mr. Chairman, you correctly pointed out that given the fact that we're dealing with a D variance, it would be almost unfathomable for Mr. Campbell to be able to meet his burden if he proceeded that evening on his own without counsel and without a planner. And so the matter was postponed. As I understand it, it was postponed till October 4th of that year. Mr. Campbell indicates he did not request any adjournment, but for some reason it was adjourned. And apparently at that point it just languished. The case, I'm told, was not relisted for hearing until Nora Jolie noticed Mr. Campbell on August 15th, 2018, that the matter would be listed for hearing on November 7th of 2018. So for a period of in excess of a year, there was no action on the file, at least as far as my client is concerned. Now, I came into the case just after that. When Mr. Campbell got the notice in August 2018, he came to me. I did my due diligence. I sent out subpoenas. In fact, I sent Ms. Jolie copies of some of those subpoenas. We attempted to find out when these meters were installed on the premises, whether or not they predated the zone ordinance, which would make the two-family a legal non-conforming use. And the information we got back from JCP&L was a little bit vague. They wanted to subpoena someone else. We did, and the documentation we got back in response to that second subpoena was still non-committal. We looked at the building file. We're unable to find out whether or not this was really permitted as a second legal dwelling unit at any time since the zoning ordinance came into effect in the 50s or 60s. I interviewed some witnesses who may have had some personal knowledge about how far back that two-family use went, because I thought that was possibly relevant for the two-family use. And it necessitated a couple of adjournments from the November 2018 date. Those were at my request. It was last scheduled, I believe, for April, and there was a notification defect on one of the notices that Ms. Jolie was kind enough to point out, so we had it rescheduled for today. In reviewing the history of Mr. Campbell within the past week, it came to my attention that we may have the statute involving the 120-day automatic approval period implicated in the case. And I say that because I'm not sure.
Do you want to go to court on that?
I may want to go to court on that, but at this point, I'd
Mr.
like the
Campbell was a
opportunity-
no-show on 10/4/17. He was a no-show. We could have closed the case that day, and we didn't, okay? So let's proceed with the case and forget about notices and all the other crap, all right? Let's proceed with the case. I've heard a dozen of these cases in the last 30 years, and I don't think we've ever denied one. So put your case on the record, and let's move forward, okay?
I'm not prepared to put my case on the record on the merits this evening because I need to address that procedural issue. Now, if Mr. Campbell was a no-show, I'd like to get a transcript of that hearing to find out whether there was
No problem.
any consent given after that date. Presumably, some sort of consent letter would have gone to him, he would have signed it. I do have a transcript of the July 5th, 2017 hearing. Your Honor, Mr. Chairman did point out that consent may have to be given, but I'm told that none was. I don't see any in writing. Mr. Campbell indicates... he was
Mr.
going to
Campbell has
contact-
been negligent in this entire application. The no-show was just an example of it, okay? So,
Is this your first time you're realizing that he was a no-show?
Yes, tonight,
Tonight?
on October 4th, yes.
You better have better communication with your client.
My client doesn't recall 2 years ago, and frankly, I'm not yet in a position to cast any aspersions on the board. I don't want to
If
do
you-
that.
if you
But
want to
what
adjourn-
happened
if you want to
between
ad-
October 4th,
Right.
2017, and August 15th, 2018, almost a year went by. What happened in that gap, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look at the file.
well,
Now, the statute
I have a
is clear.
feeling we were put off and put off and put off by Mr. Campbell. And I'm not criticizing him,
true, Mr. Chairman.
okay?
If I find
And
that
I
out,
don't
then I'll
think you're gonna
withdraw.
I don't think you're gonna find that out, because it might have just been a phone call, so the case just sat, we were waiting for him to come back. Problem's not here, problem's there, okay?
That
And
will-
Mr. Campbell denies that.
This chairman has been
I'm-
more than professional and kind to your client. And you
I'm
can
not
summons
disputing
all,
that.
you can summons all the audio you want.
Ms. Snyder, I am not taking issue with
Let-
that. I read the July 5th transcript. Mr. Chairman was cordial and professional, and he gave Mr. Campbell the benefit of the doubt in agreeing to adjourn.
More than the benefit of the doubt,
No
he
question.
actually gave him sound advice.
No question,
Look,
but I
look,
have to
look.
be an advocate for my client's interest, and I have to base that advocacy.
When you were not here,
Excuse me.
no,
I did not
excuse
say
me.
anything also.
I'm on the board. I'm
Okay, all
sorry.
right, please,
Excuse me.
Nancy,
You're gonna
please,
interrupt me.
please,
I have
stay
nothing to
calm.
say.
Let's
I
all
am
stay
calm.
calm, okay? The comment you just heard me make, I probably have heard 12 of these cases, pre-existing, non-conforming situation. I don't think we've ever denied one.
This isn't pre-existing.
It's not wait a minute.
It's
No,
not.
no, it was,
It's not.
it was built, it was done years and years ago, John, that's what I mean. And,
Look, this isn't that.
Yeah, this one there is no
This is a
proof.
legal
There,
version.
like this one,
I understand that, but if it was done 40 years ago, and
Yeah.
and they've
There's
got 2
another-
meters and everything,
No,
this
Okay.
is different.
That's the
all right,
problem.
I'm sorry.
That's different. I'm not in a position to address the merits
Okay.
until I resolve this issue. It's a
Okay,
procedural
fine.
issue.
Someplace in the 80s.
Someplace in the 80s?
So how much longer are you gonna need? Like, to be honest,
Not long. I only need another 30, 45 days.
that's a long time after you had retained your client for 6 months. And in 6 months, you couldn't figure that out, and you will in the next 30, 45 days?
Well, we figured out a lot. We, as I say, we served subpoenas, I interviewed witnesses.
6 months.
I looked at the building file.
6 months.
Well, we were ready to go last time it was scheduled, but there was a notification problem. That was my office's error. So it hasn't.
So like the only issue I have with this is like, it's been gone for 2 years. That means he can still, the current situation, whether it be legal or not, has been going on, and you will keep postponing it, so his current situation can be the current situation.
We'll give you one more shot.
Fair enough.
We'll give you one more shot.
You gotta renotice.
You're gonna renotice.
Yes.
You have to renotice. 30 days? What do you got, Nora? What do you got as the
September.
first day? It's not gonna be 30 days. She's waving no.
You need 45 days.
August 7th.
August
7th.
Is it okay?
7th.
That's good for me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
And you're consenting to an extension of time at this point or not?
Well, from this date forward, yes. I
Okay.
can't retroactively.
No, I
but
understand.
From this date
I
forward, I'm
understand.
not gonna count it toward the 120 days.
I'm sorry if I was a little gruff, but like
No,
I
no, you
said,
haven't.
I think we have, look, I've known Mr. Campbell for probably 30-plus years, okay? And I'm not trying to hurt him in the situation, okay? We'll try and work with him, but it's not us.
No one's saying that, Mr. Chairman. This board has been
Okay.
professional and cordial. I have the transcript, I reviewed it, I mentioned that, but I have a job to do in representing his interests, and I have to
Fine.
make sure that this application was processed procedurally in accordance with the statute. That's
Fine.
all I want to do, investigate that process.
Okay.
So in August 7th meeting, are you gonna be here to present your case, or are you gonna be here to present the procedural issue?
Well, it's try or dismiss, as I understand it, on August 7th. We're
Okay.
going forward either with the request for automatic approval or with the merits, one way or the other.
Okay.
Okay?
Do I have a motion to carry this case to August 7th with notice and with extensions?
So moved.
Is there a second? Was that, no? You don't
For
want-
an automatic approval.
What?
Forget that.
Well,
No, I'm not playing game on that.
To hear the case, right?
we're adjourning
Hear the
it,
case? Well,
we're adjourning it to hear the case.
hear the case, not
Yes.
automatic approval.
Well,
Forget that.
automatic approval may become an issue. I have to look at the file and investigate that issue. One way or the other, I'm going to be in a position of either withdrawing that or moving forward.
So what would happen is he would say that 120 days when you would automatically, you should automatically approve it. I would think,
You wouldn't
would
even
review
appeal.
everything and probably deny that, and then he would take an appeal.
He won't appear. There's no reason for him to, if he
Yeah.
takes that position,
It's an automatic
you're gonna
approval.
file with the township to have a signature of approval. You won't have a hearing.
Yep.
I may have a hearing in the alternative. I'm permitted by statute and case law to proceed on the merits if I choose to do that as an alternative. It's called seeking alternative relief. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not prepared to do that.
Okay.
Willing to
Berkowitz,
consider an
second.
automatic approval.
Okay. What's the roll call vote, Nora?
Mr. Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mr. Prasad.
Yes.
Mr. Reddy.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
No.
Mr. Willens.
Yes.
Chairman Irakane.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Amazing.
I'd be curious what the tax bill's history is.
Is that a first for you guys? Just curious. No.
I've never, 30 years, I've never had a extension come up
Oh,
as
yeah,
a
I've never heard
question.
that
Never, never. Unless Mr. O'Neill tried it one of these days. Okay, Mr. O'Neill, you're up. 1848 Parsippany Jewelry. Well, she just found out. I guess
Prolonging it to as long as you can.
Talk about no good deed goes unpunished. That's what this case was.
All right. Let's not talk about that anymore.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Joseph O'Neill of Garofalo O'Neill Ruggiero here on behalf of the applicant, Parsippany Jewelers. This is an application for use variance approval related to establishing residential uses on the second floor of the existing commercial space. It's commercial below. It was approved for offices above, probably 10 years ago, and has been vacant ever since that approval. My client is here this evening to request that these be turned into 5 residential units. I have my client with me here this evening, Mr. Akamir. I'd like to have him sworn in.
Sir, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is the truth so help you God?
I swear.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
YAKUP AKDEMIR.
And you're the owner of the subject business and property?
Yes, I'm the owner with my brother together.
Thank you, you're sworn.
You are.
Thank you, Mr. Akamir. You've heard my brief description. Is that generally accurate? The condition of the property? Let me pull that microphone down so they can pick you up on the record.
Yes.
Property was constructed, the building on the property was constructed about 10 years ago, isn't that true?
Yes,
2008, I believe?
2008, correct.
And at that time, you had envisioned the second floor to consist of offices.
Correct.
You marketed them as offices?
Yes.
How did you go about doing that?
I mean, through the realtor, and I tried many years to now. I mean, I didn't have a chance to get them in tenant there. That's why I decided, I mean, to try with different way.
Now, you marketed it through, I mean, these are national realtors?
Yes, yes,
Banker.
Caldwell Banker and Weigert.
Have you ever had a tenant move in the 10-year?
No, just I have, I mean, 2 hour at night, the karate people, I mean, the teaching 2 hour from 6 to 8
On the second floor?
on the second floor.
Now, describe the first floor for us.
Describe of the first floor is I have a adult daycare and some, and my store in other part.
That's the Parsippany Jewelers.
Correct. Parsippany, my store is M.A. Jeweler, is
M.A.
in,
Jeweler.
yeah, in the Parsippany Jeweler Center.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Any questions by the board?
So, I'm sorry, help me out, and I apologize if you already went through it. So the second floor, what's the square footage on the second floor?
I'm guessing 6,500 square foot.
And so in your attempt to rent it out, how much were you asking?
Honest,
I'm
I
gonna
try.
direct-
I'm sorry?
I'm going to direct my client not to answer specifically for commercial reasons, but you do have a story of someone who was.
Oh, this has a lot, okay, and you could direct your client to do anything, but this has a lot to do with the inability or ability to rent out that space, no?
He does have a story to relay that might answer your question.
Okay.
I think, if I could, I think it has been rented out. The testimony was that there was a karate studio up there. So I think it has been rented. Is it currently rented to the karate?
I thought it was currently vacant.
Yes, I mean permanent, no contract, a month by month.
Okay. So it is leased. The second floor is leased to the karate.
How much square footage are they taking?
He take, I mean, 3,500 square foot, but I mean, he doesn't need it. I mean,
Just
two
'cause it's
offices-
there.
2 offices I gave him while it was empty, and to help me on the expenses. I'm getting, I mean, $1,200, I mean, from him monthly with heat, with everything. I mean,
Now,
doesn't.
you
So-
had someone, the only person who really wanted to rent the space. What was the square footage rate?
Yes, I mean, I get some, insurance company. He offered me $4 for the square foot, and $4, I didn't get them. I mean, I could not, I mean, give them for $4.
The record, Mr. Kaplan is here.
So understood, so what would you have given it to him for? If he bid right?
I asked, I mean, $9 first. I mean, when he offered me $8, I would give him plus tax, plus, I mean, the other rest, but he didn't. I mean, he offered me with everything $4.
$8 plus common camp,
Common
right?
area. No, the tax, he wouldn't pay the taxes. $4 he offered me, and I could not, I mean, give them, I mean, this place for $4 is no way, I mean, doesn't worth it for me, or it could not, I mean, I could not get, I mean, the expenses what they pay there.
You were
That-
not
that's
trying to get
reasonable.
premium rents for this?
No.
So under your conversion plan, what's the plan in regards to revenue generation? What is he looking to get? Like,
Well, we don't know, because that's not something
Okay.
that's normally discussed to the board. The sale price of something
Okay.
isn't something that's discussed. Is it more lucrative to have commercial or residential? Well,
I
now
mean-
you can't get commercial. That's your testimony.
Yeah, I cannot, get the commercial one, I could get, $8 to $9, then I would say, okay, but I could not get it, is nobody asked. Nobody, in 8 and 10 year, almost 10 year, nobody, just with this person, he came for the insurance company, he said, I'm gonna rent the whole thing for $4.
and how did you advertise? I'm sorry.
Weicker,
Weicker?
Caldwell, and this is, was other guy, I gave them also, but he didn't, try it, and I left them.
Nothing
I
on
don't
digital
use it.
platforms?
They're all on digital platforms.
Well, I know they are, but other than like Zillow, I'm
No,
thinking Zillow,
no, I didn't, I
Trulia.
hired this
Mhm,
company. the
understood.
Caldwell
I'm trying to
and-
count
and
right
the
now. This is
Weicker
one,
and
this is a
tried them,
two-bedroom.
And he could
This
not,
is a
give them, he
two-bedroom.
didn't.
This
Right.
is a two-bedroom.
Just
Right.
for
This is a
the board's information,
one-bedroom, and
Zillow
this
does
is a
not handle
two-bedroom.
commercial
Oh, wait.
properties.
Oh.
You're probably thinking of LoopNet.
Thank you.
Looks like four,
which,
two bedrooms or
Mhm.
one
I'm sure you
bedroom.
were thinking of LoopNet, which the major realtors do.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking
different
of.
feet across.
Triple net or
Yeah, nice. So we're looking at 4 two-bedrooms and 1 one-bedroom, is that what
That's right, Mr. Chung will detail that.
Okay.
What are the square footage of the 4 and the 1?
Mr. Chung has the detailed
Oh,
plan,
sorry,
which he'll
sorry.
refer to. If I could just defer that question for a moment.
Any other questions of this witness? Any members of the pub, do we have any members of the public here? Or are those both your witnesses?
10 years.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to say there's no members of the public here. Next witness, Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chung. Thank you.
Mr. Chun? You're the witness? Sir, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Ho Chun Chong, H-O-J-O-O-N, last name is C-H-U-N-G.
And you are a licensed architect?
in New Jersey.
And all your licenses are in full force and effect?
Yes.
And you've provided testimony either before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes. This is Bergen County.
Thank you. You're sworn and qualified.
Thank you, Mr. Chung. You're referring to the plans you provided well, the board has the site plan, and you've got that mounted up. You don't appear to have a tripod, but
It's behind,
Chaz. Chaz.
let me just, if I may, for a moment, have my client set up the tripod.
Sure.
Stand the light, two of them.
Isn't it this
This is post from.
I was pissed.
Yeah. Maybe you should have. Usually he was good. You are very fucking lazy. No, I know.
So referring Mr. Chung to the site plan, this is the same site plan that was provided to the board. Let's go through where the entrance is going to be to the apartments above.
As shown on this site plan, people coming in from this highway route 46. As you park here, there is a two-story existing area for two apartment units.
Okay, and for two means of egress is provided. One as a main entry point on the center of the building, and the other one as an entry point on the side of the building. But this will be used only for fire exit egress area. And as you going up, this is the center point of the main lobby. And as you going up to the second floor using stair or elevator, you arrive to the main foyer area on second floor.
Now you're referring to the floor plan that was provided.
Yes.
Right?
And this is second floor plan.
The date on that plan is?
Okay. In September 1st, 2018.
September 1st?
Yes.
Not September 10th?
Oh, sorry, September 10th.
Okay.
2018. So as you coming up to the foyer area, this will be control security door. Will control the security space of the space. And as you coming into this hallway, you will face to the first space, which is a public space. It's called as a playroom, but it will be might be used as a utility room more than a playroom area. And as you see on this orange color, this is first unit, which is one bedroom apartment, which has 1,131 square foot.
Should we mark that if it's colored?
Was it colorized?
Yes, as an orange color.
Will you mark that as A1 for this evening? You have a pen?
Marked as
A1,
A1,
A-1.
A1, A-. Okay, so this first one bedroom unit, as you coming in, typically has kitchen, living room, dining room on the center, and there are two bathroom and utility room. And there is a one bedroom unit with a built-in closet and full bathroom, as well as a two means of egress windows. And
All the rooms have windows?
yes, the bedrooms, yeah, you should have it.
Bedrooms have windows, but there's
Right.
one kitchen that does not?
Kitchen, but it's an open space to the living room, and then you will get all the sunlight through the living room.
All the apartments upstairs are locked behind a secure door?
Yes.
And what's the proposed security system for that?
You will have to ring the bell, so people can coming in to the open the gate and door.
If I'm a resident, it'll be an electronic lock?
Locked, right.
Which I'll open with a key fob?
Yeah.
Do you want to just testify, Mr. O'Neill?
Do I want to? Can you describe the means of egress and egress that are, how many are there?
Okay, there are two means of egress. One is a main point, so people are going out and in through this security gate. And the other one on the back side will be only used for fire exit, typically.
So there's no ingress on the back side?
No ingress, right.
How many-
Only egress.
How many bathrooms do you use?
For each, two bathrooms.
Two bathrooms?
Yes.
Two full bathrooms?
Yes.
One bedroom also, two bathrooms?
Yes, two bathrooms.
In the one bedroom?
Yes, with it.
Yeah.
For company.
I have two bedroom, one bath, but one bedroom, two bath.
Yeah, it has two bathrooms.
It's good, generous.
Anything you'd like to add?
How many square feet are the 2 bedrooms?
2 bedrooms. I think it has. This one is 1290, and these 2 units are 1031, and this is 1070 square foot. And total of second floor is proposed as 7,790 square foot.
Is the right side of the building lower? Like
This one, yes,
there's no
that's a
second floor to
one.
that?
No,
Oh, okay.
just 1 story. Yeah.
I have no further questions for this witness.
What's the playroom?
A playroom, we just call it as a playroom, but right now we currently thinking as a just, it's like multi-purpose room, so anyone can use the room. But probably it will be more used as a more like utility room, I think.
Utility room? Is that
Yeah,
what you
more like utility room will be used.
Are there washer and dryers in each unit?
said? Yeah.
Washer and dryers, yes. In all the, there are designated utility rooms in each unit.
Are there outside recreation areas at all available?
No, not provided.
How will the waste be handled, the garbage and things of that nature?
We discussed about that, but probably we will be able to use on the back side of the building, on rear side,
I don't know,
on this rear side.
so are there gonna be just garbage cans or for each unit, or how, I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
We'll have to locate the garbage container on a plan. If the board sees fit to approve this application, we'll locate the main garbage container on the plan. There'll be refuse handled through that.
Is there an elevator in this building?
Yes,
There
in
is.
on main entry area, on
Why don't I see it?
right here.
How's the refuse
Oh,
Folds on top.
how's the refuse handled now?
isn't that nice?
You can't, sir, you're not,
You
No,
gotta,
you can't.
Well, he's still sworn, he just
well,
needs a
he needs to
microphone.
come up.
you need to come up and use the microphone.
Okay. This is the building, and we have, here on this section, here, the garbage container, the cave, and we could do it, the other one here also.
At the back side of the, yeah, okay.
Yeah, here is on the back, and this side, you see here is garbage container, what's calling it?
Dumpster.
Yeah, dumpster, cave we have, and we could do it, one for private here also, close to them.
What is,
That's how it's handled now.
Yes.
who is behind your property line, other side?
I
On the
mean,
back, on the
this
back.
is the back of, the side of the
No,
building.
no, I'm talking about the back.
Yes, at the back.
Who is the owner of that? They don't complain about the garbage here?
That's Old Bloomfield Avenues.
Oh,
the house
It's
is
far,
front.
they're
They don't
far.
enter that way.
No, they have
enter
no
from
access.
46.
to Old-
Yeah,
Right,
no,
okay.
that one, Bloomfield
Right, so I'm not
Avenue
sure
is-
why we're talking about that corner of Route 46.
There's residential properties right behind you,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So at this point, we're not disposing of any food garbage, are we? Because all we have is an office.
We have an
But
adult
going
daycare.
forward, it's very possible we're gonna be disposing of food garbage
Yeah, residential is. good.
alongside a residential neighborhood. That kind of disturbs me a little bit.
Yeah, but the property between me and them may be 50 feet or more, maybe 100 feet.
Where does the daycare center throw away? They have
Daycare center is here.
No, meaning
Yeah,
like,
but do they have,
where's their waste go? Like the
Yeah.
garbage?
Here, I gave them, he used here.
so does
there's a-
food ship there?
Yeah,
They don't prepare on site, correct?
no,
So food's shipped?
yeah.
So why wouldn't they use the same garbage containers? Is it too small?
When it's small, it's like I said,
Are
we
they
could
like
do it, we could
dumpsters?
do it,
Are they
two separate.
dumpsters or like?
No, this 40 item container, is that we could do, I mean, two separate, I mean, one for the residential, one for the commercial. This is, I mean, we have
Mr.
a.
Shaw's point, food's food, so
It doesn't matter. Like-
what does it matter? I mean, what is it, Meals on Wheels or something that's going to the adult daycare?
They usually
Yeah, I
contract
mean,
out.
bring it, I mean, with this transportation, I think. You bring it there, but the garbage is there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's always one.
Will the residential parking spaces be assigned?
Yes, I could sign it, I mean, here, I could do it, but we need, I mean, 10 or 12, whatever we need, we could do it here, and one for the handicap, we have here close to the main door.
Will there be any change to the lighting?
No. I mean, has a lighting enough and is accepted the lighting as it is.
Well,
We will-
accepted
we will-
lighting as it is because of the hours of operations of what's currently there. But now, if you're changing it to a residential configuration, lighting needs vastly differ, right? Because you're gonna have,
I'm honest so much, I don't
well, just
know.
think about, you live in a home,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
You need lighting at night,
Okay.
all right? So I would assume the jeweler is not a 24/7 operation.
No,
I'm
no,
also
we have-
assuming the adult daycare center is not a 24/7 operation.
No, but, I'm sorry.
Your residents will need 24/7 lighting.
I respect that.
Is there a
Especially
lighting-
when you're asking them to park so far away from the unit on a regular basis.
Yes.
During winter.
Is there a lighting plan?
There is no lighting plan that was pointed out by the report from your engineer, and we were going to comply with that requirement
Okay.
should the board see fit to grant that, showing the photoelectric levels. We were not, this is now apparently our testimony concerning hours of operation of the lights. What was your proposal for that?
I mean, I mean, we have, under the canopy, you know, we have a light, or we have, I mean, regular
Well, how long are
light.
the lights gonna be on?
But we could do the 24/7, I mean, we have a timer on it, we could put the timer and.
Canopy's not gonna
No,
cut,
at least within-
cut
at
it
least within the
for
park.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
parking lot.
Here, the whole thing, and we have, I mean, all over light. We could, I mean, it's a timer, we could, I mean, put it on
You have
24/7.
lighting established?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. There is already existing lighting
Yes.
for the parking
Yeah,
lot.
but the whole thing, I mean, here, the whole, I mean, around, we
There's
have
no
a
lighting plans,
lighting.
or-
Not on the back, the
Well,
back I
it's
have
not
emergency light, you know, like
Yeah.
some
Jacob.
motion light on the
Jacob.
back of the building, but the rest is I have it all over.
Jacob.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a moment to confer with my?
Yeah, we're gonna take 5 minutes, because I gotta go to the little boys' room, all right?
Well, if you look at these pictures, it shows you how far the houses are from the property line.
Yeah.
No, I didn't, I knew
Starting
that
at the hours
his
of
attorney's office called me to get numbers, but I didn't know why until I got here tonight. And, I mean,
No funny stuff.
look, Harriet's notes, no show. And then it was postponed on November 1st, I don't know what happened. so I heard it.
I'll sever approve this, but I mean,
Yeah?
what's the funding requirement?
We didn't approve the building, we approved the adult daycare center.
Yeah, and with the requirements to say.
All right.
In hearing the questions of the board and conferring with my clients, it is our belief that we need some more detail in the site plan to address some of the questions of the board. So I'd like to ask an adjournment to your next available meeting to revise that site plan to answer these appropriate questions. We will be making this adjournment, granting all necessary extensions.
And you will not deny that at a future meeting, right?
Got it on the record.
Okay.
Before you, well, as part of the homework that you're going to do, the township has entered into its settlement for its solution to its affordable housing obligation with the court.
They are in the process of doing so, yes.
My understanding is that the town council has approved it as a public action, and now the remaining step is for the fairness hearing before the judge.
that is the steps for the settlement. Then there is effectuating the settlement, which will be a series of ordinances.
Correct. However, within the plan, it has a mandatory set-aside of 20% of units of any residential development project.
That is applicable to the parties of the settlement through their individual contracts, yes.
My understanding, discussing it with the author of the report, is that it covers any residential development in Parsippany.
The anticipation of the settlement agreement is that the township will adopt an ordinance modifying its current ordinance, which has no affordable housing set-aside requirements. They will modify that ordinance to, I have not seen that modification or draft. I do understand the general terms, being involved with other clients, so that will be adopted at some point in the future, a timeline to be determined by the court.
Your position is that your client is not required to have a unit set aside then?
Under the time of decision rule, the applicable statutes applying to this application apply to the ordinances that were in effect at that time. That ordinance does not require set aside for any units. It requires cash payments to a fund established for that purpose, a trust fund, which the township is also going to be using as part of this settlement for other projects, other elements in the settlement that don't need funding.
So your only obligation in terms of affordable housing will be the 1.5% payment?
That's correct, in accordance with the ordinance.
Which was in effect?
Which is still in effect.
Still the ordinance, right?
Still the ordinance. I don't know what the timeline is for the adoption of the new ordinance. The township has not shared a draft of that ordinance with the parties, I can tell you that. And I can also tell you that the court will be establishing those timelines.
Not to interrupt, but I think the time of decision rule is probably the most poignant part of this discussion.
Yes.
This application.
So what does that mean?
It means that when they filed this application, they had not proceeded to even develop any of these settlement provisions.
So they're exempt?
Yes.
The ordinance was not in effect. What they aren't exempt from is the fee of affordable housing based on the assessed value of these, if you approve this 5 apartments. So they will have to contribute to the township's housing trust fund.
And we don't have to confer with our township attorneys in regards to what?
Well, I
you're
wanted to
laying
raise
out?
it now. I'm sure Pete would have jumped in if he felt there was something seriously flawed with Mr. O'Neill's response. And he did.
No, I haven't seen the new proposed.
Well, nobody
plan.
has, nobody has.
It's my understanding.
But I think what's more important is Mr. O'Neill's comment that very familiar with the case law involving the time of decision rule and what an application is. There is a Supreme Court case involving completeness to whether or not you were or were not part of the ordinances. Now, this application, because it's a use variance, doesn't go through the completeness process of a site plan. We understand now that there will be site plan elements necessary as part of this application if it's approved.
I have not done an analysis. We
And
have
that's-
not confirmed
and-
enough details to whether or not we need a site plan approval for this, but there are elements that do need to be testified to concerning existing conditions on the site, which should address these issues.
Well, obviously, site plan deals with drainage. That's not applicable here. Site plan deals with lighting, which is applicable here. Site plan deals with landscaping, which may or may not be applicable here. Site plan does deal with support elements to whatever the proposal is. Your architect has said there's no recreation component whatsoever. That may be a discussion item. But I think there is going to be some form of a site plan. That, I
Well,
think,
as it's presented, I'll be very candid with you, is the issues we're talking about right now. completely convinced anything on the site needs to change. If the board's telling me they want the site to be more kid-friendly or something like that, then we'll have to address that some other way. But that's not what I was hearing this evening.
Is there an?
I don't think,
we
you're
never
not
got
hearing
to
it
that
this
point.
evening
We never-
because we haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, there is gonna be a big concern about it.
There
think,
is.
Yeah, I think you better keep that in the back of your mind, that is there an abundance of parking spaces, or are we at?
Yes, there is.
So, so we could make some green area if necessary.
We could do that.
We could. I'm not saying we have to, and I'm not saying you want to, but, okay.
Well, I'm,
The site's
listening
way-
to the
Well,
comments of the
but
board.
how-
and
plus how are they gonna get
we're
to
gonna
school?
React to the comments of the board.
I mean, the site's way overparked because the office component has been taken off the
That's
property.
absolutely correct. There is excess.
And you're definitely talking about children if you're
Yep.
doing two-bedroom apartments.
I would
Yes, yes,
contest
we are.
that issue. I would contest that two-bedroom apartments of this size are gonna generate children.
Mhm.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
Oh.
Your basis for that is what?
The Rutgers study.
And you're telling me the Rutgers study on a two-bedroom apartments,
Of this size.
Oh.
do you think these are small, or do you think these are mid-range or large?
I'm not gonna get into the factual details, because I have been told many times by judges not to testify. during my hearing.
I think they're average.
Well,
All right, well, I
clearly
think
dis-
we've made our point. You're gonna
We
have to be
understand.
prepared
We understand.
for a plethora of questions.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments by the board, and I know my witnesses are listening and my client is listening, and we will endeavor to answer all of these questions.
I want to,
I do not
I
know
think
if
you
I
and Mr.
necessarily-
King need to discuss the case that involved the Dunbar or Hempstead, whatever they were, Franklin Township, went to the Supreme Court. I know you and I have discussed it
Many times.
but whether or not it not compels, the board has to demand or require an affordable unit or not, because the site plan element comes into effect. But those ordinances still aren't there, right?
No, they're not there. There are multiple ordinances anticipated by the settlement agreement, multiple ordinances.
And one of the ordinances.
Well, the easy one, of course, is just simply amend the ordinance to require 20% set aside in all residential developments. That ain't gonna take a lot of time. And that's.
I don't think any of it should take a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, is everybody following this?
Yeah.
I'm not just running my mouth here. I don't wanna make sure we don't get off on the wrong foot right out of the box. When this,
My
'cause-
only question would be, if it's not residential now, okay, then if the ordinance is passed, all future residents will have the 20% set aside.
Correct.
And we approved that to be residential, okay, then the new ordinance would apply to it, would it not?
Not,
No,
if
we
if
have-
it isn't in effect,
Okay.
if
I
you
heard
act.
all that, but if it's not residential now,
I understand Mr. Chadwick's point. I will confer with Mr. King, but I have to caution everyone, we're dealing with a lot of
Yeah.
unknowns right
we don't know
I
what the
mean,
ordinance is gonna be.
now. The easiest thing to control is this application.
Yeah, the obvious,
Adoption and drafting of ordinances.
the obvious thing is you getting back on the agenda.
Quick.
We
I
need a
heard an
date.
August date advertised.
What's the latest, Laura?
I would only do August if you had a solid commitment to not carry it to a future date. This application, you've been continually asking it to be carried, because we only have one hearing date in August. And I have other people that also want to go on that date. Otherwise, it's
Well,
going
our
to be
adjour- our
September
last-
4th.
Our last adjournment request was due to witness availability. It was certainly unanticipated.
Right.
But,
Otherwise September 4th.
I leave it to the board.
September 4th is good?
Well, he's leaving it to the board. August 7th, we
August
have
7th or
Campbell
September
coming
4th,
back,
choice.
and we have another
What's
sign
coming back on
application.
August?
August 7th, we have Campbell coming back, this last application
Right.
tonight, and we have a sign application
Well, it's a
and some
billboard.
residential.
It's a billboard?
No,
we
no,
just
no.
doing one of the
No, no, no,
billboards?
no,
Oh,
no.
oh,
The
it's
one
the-
up the road,
the-
Alta. The window sign.
Okay, yeah, this should take no time.
I don't know how long Campbell's gonna take.
You don't even know if he's gonna be back.
You don't even know if he's gonna show. He may decide to go to court. You wanna take a chance on August 7th?
We would prefer August 7th, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
With notice, Mr. O'Neill.
That's
Since-
fine.
Since things are changing and this has been hanging around for a long time, we're
That's
gonna
fine.
require, and you'll give us whatever extension is necessary. You've said that,
Extensions through the end of August.
through the end of August. Okay. Do I have a motion to carry this case to August
So
7th?
moved.
As just
Seconded.
described? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
One item of information, you were supposed to submit a planning report in connection with this application for.
We will submit that planning board immediately.
Okay, and I'd spoken with your planner before, and I didn't bring it up tonight, but I think we're gonna need that. What I need to have in that report is support to your statement of demographics on this property.
That's fine. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay.
I thought it's already out of 10.
You have a good night.